Something that is always exciting for an in-house designer is when you get to design for a sub-brand. It can mean a chance to get more creative and break away from the color palette and the style guide that you're using every single day as part of the main brand you design for. Because with the sub-brand, you're creating the visuals for a new project that needs its own identity. Recently, I got to speak to Damien and Remilla from the Figma brand studio team for an interview for Inside Marketing Design, and I want to share this insight with you for how the Figma brand studio team approach the design process of a sub-brand.
I think as a sub-brand is a good opportunity to really explore and experiment where the edges of the brand may exist. I talk about this a lot. I'm we're always trying to find where are the edges of the brand, because I believe that a good brand has a ton of texture to it. It's not this sort of singular aesthetic vision. There are facets to it. It evolves and changes for sure, but depending on what it's trying to accomplish, it will stay true to those core values, but it will be expressed in maybe slightly different ways. So a sub-brand, the latest one, we had a conference a few months ago now called Schema. It's a design systems conference, and that definitely deviates from the brand, the core brand itself, but we do use some brand elements. The typeface that we often use for our brand expressions lives there, some other elements as well, some iconography. But really we wanted to create something that when you saw it on social or when you experienced the conference, you knew that you were at the conference. Yeah. And not necessarily remove the Figma brand in any way, but just really make sure that you had some wayfinding to know where you're at or what we're talking about. And because it was a design systems conference, there's rich vernacular to kind of dip into as well. So we really wanted to explore that with our color palettes, some of the techniques that we used. And we know that it's also a finite thing. It's an event, so it happens. There's a lead up to it, it happens, and then there's a post-event experience. And it allows us to maybe be a little bit more experimental because we know it is a little bit more contained than, say, some of our core branding, the core branding visual language might be a little bit more universal or a little bit more componentized to be able to live in different surfaces over time.
Sub-branding, we've done a ton of that in-house. I think about our Friends of Figma brand. That was actually one of the early sub-brands that we created right after the refresh. And so it was really close to what the Figma brand looks like. So we were using shapes, similar colors. We grabbed select colors from our palette. And we went with another typeface that looks similar to our in-house typeface because we were sharing this out to the community. So we wanted it to be as accessible as possible. Thinking about that, yeah, we were how can we still make this feel like Figma, but really special to our community? And so playing with these really fun shapes and fun colors and just thinking about our community were ways that we kind of evolved it, but it still stayed true to Figma.
In my time so far at ConvertKit, I've had the chance to develop several different sub-brands, and I've definitely used them, as Damien said, to push the edges of our brand. In working on the Creator Sessions brand, for example, we actually ended up bringing more hand-drawn stuff into our main brand because of the explorations that I'd done for that sub-brand project. And I always try and keep a through line in the sub-brands, whether it's with fonts like the Figma team does, or a certain brand color, so that they can feel connected to the main brand despite being visually different. You can find out loads more interview about the design process at Figma in the full interview over on the Inside Marketing Design channel, linked on a card. We talked in depth about sub-brands as well as about how the brand studio team is involved in feature releases and the way that they use Figma themselves to enable the marketing team to create their own assets. So check it out right over here, and I'll see you over there.